Hi friends, in today's current affairs class, I will explain an important topic, very important, recently announced by the government of India, the drone policy of India. Drone policy of India. Drone policy of India 2021. 2021. What is this drone? Drone, and you are all aware, drone is nothing but it is an unmanned air vehicle. Unmanned air vehicle, that means it is a vehicle, it flows in an air, but no man is necessary to drive it. No human being is necessary physically, like a driver is necessary to drive it. So if you make a program and if you start giving the commands from the ground, then it can flow it in the air. It can flow it in the air. So that is unmanned air vehicle, we call it as a drone. So it doesn't need any manual intervention to drive that physically, but through a software or through running a program or by giving an instructions you can do it. So suppose now this is a drone. Now here it is a receiver, and here from here you will maintain by pressing the buttons or by programming a code, and based on the signals it will move. It will move, or it will come down and it will again lift. So that can be happen. So this is drone. This is drone. See, what is the purpose of this drone? Why India need to make a policy of this drone? Because in the present day we can use these drones in various sectors. The purpose with respect to the drones is increasing day by day. Anyway, I am going to give some of the sectors and how this policy was framed. Anyway, I will give the details, but the usage of the drone is increasing in every sector of the country, in every sector of the economy. But anyhow, just I will give a classification. Once you understand this drone, drones will be classified based on their weight. Based on their weight. So now I will give a classification. Nano drones. So nano drone is a drone whose weight is up to 250 grams. So if your drone is up to 250 gram, you call it as a nano drone. And if it is between 250 grams to 2 kgs, 250 grams to 2 kg, we call it as micro drone. We call it as micro drone. If it is between 2 kg and 25 kg, 2 kg and 25 kg, we call the drone as small drone. Small drone. If it is between 25 and 150 kg, 25 kg to 150 kg, we can call it as a medium drone. Medium drone. And if it is greater than 150 kg, 150 kg, you can call it as large drones. Who has given this classification? The Government of India, Ministry of Civil Aviation. Ministry of Civil Aviation has given this classification. Okay, and when we announce the policy, that policy is not completely related to the drone and drone components. Drone and drone components. See, drone and drone components means, just I will explain to you, because the drone is not simply a drone. Okay, drone includes this airframe. Drone includes airframe. That means whatever the structure that we are seeing, airframe. And it includes the power systems. That means how the power entire systems are connected, the different parts. And the batteries. The batteries. Batteries also part of this component. Batteries. And even communication system. Communication system. Communication system means this drone must communicate with the ground station or the ground operator. So that communication system is also part of drone. And control systems. control system means a system is developed to control. See, suppose if it is something, if it is going in a particular direction with a particular velocity, immediately if you find something a hurdle, then immediately you have to take back, or you have to stop, or you have to take some corrective action. So that system we call it as control system. So that control system, so airframe, power system, batteries, communication system, control system, and apart from this, navigation. Sometimes if the map is set, then you have to go on your own, that navigation system. And cameras, the cameras fitted to this, because sometimes some drones are useful for the taking photographs and videographs. Some of the drones you can use it to lift any of the product from one place to another place. So some can be used for surveillance, some can be used for communication. But if at all, if it is using for the surveillance purpose or audio and videographic purposes, then you have to make a camera. So camera is also part of a drone. Sometimes you need to sense something, so the sensors. So the point I want to mention, when I say a drone, don't simply like the whatever the thing that is appear to you, that is a drone. Drone is consisting of these type of different system. It includes airframe, power systems, batteries, communication system, control system, navigation system, cameras and sensors. These are all called it as drones and drone components. And if their weight is this much, then this classification is given under Ministry of Civil Aviation. Ministry of Civil Aviation is responsible for this policy, and Ministry of Civil Aviation is providing some sort of incentives or providing some sort of policy measures for the promotion of this drone operation in India, and it is a ministry regulating the operation of drones in this country. Now there was an act called Aircraft Act of 1934. Aircraft Act 1934. So this Aircraft Act of 1934 is giving power to the Ministry of Civil Aviation to frame rules on these flying objectives, and this same act will also give powers to the ministry to take a punitive actions if they violate the prescribed rules and regulation. So this act, Aircraft Act of 1934. Okay. Now I will come to the usage of these drones. See, individuals like you and me can use it for any purposes. You can use it for transportation of any goods. You can use it for spraying of any pest in the agriculture field. We can use it for photography. We can use it for surveillance. That means at the individual level we can use it in a different way. But now individuals are in a position to use this at the individual level, because we haven't reached to that level. But at least government should start the usage of drone in their respective governance field. Now I will give some of the examples how the government can use these drones and how can they improve their efficiency in the administration. Because a minimum government and maximum governance is the philosophy of the present government. So by using these drones, how can we really improve our governance efficiency? How can different ministries can coordinate, and how the different ministries can use these drones for the effective implementation of their policies? So individually you and me can use it for our own purposes, our own home purposes, our own office purposes, our own community purposes. We can use it. But at the government level also we can use it. And recently Ministry of Civil Aviation has written a note to all the ministries to promote these drones in their respective field. First of all, I will give the Defence Ministry. See, why I am giving this ministries means, I think in the year 2016 there was a question asked in the mains, the convergence between Defence Ministry and the Home Ministry is increasing. Explain. The question is that the convergence between Defence Ministry and Home Ministry is increasing. Explain. That means how the defence and Home Ministry are coordinating with each other in order to implement some of the policies, you have to write. For that you must know where is the possibility to coordinate with the Home Ministry by the Defense Ministry, you must know. So tomorrow you will get the convergence between the Defense Ministry and Ministry of Civil Aviation increasing, or the ministry or the coordinate the cooperation between the Ministry of the Energy and as well as the Ministry of Civil Aviation is increasing, or you may get Ministry of Agriculture and Civil Aviation is converging. You can get a question. So how the Civil Aviation Ministry's proposals, ministry's policies, ministry's rules and regulation helps the other ministries to implement their program successfully, you need to know. Now when it comes to the Defense Ministry definitely they will do surveillance in that border areas, in their military establishments. So for the surveillance purposes, even at the time of combat, if they want to know where the soldier is, it is physically not possible to go and see. Then these drones will go and drones will capture and they will give us a clear-cut information. So the surveillance, combat and even counter drone solutions, because recently we have seen one drone has attacked the Indian Army base in the Jammu and Kashmir. So that again, if you want to attack, you can't attack physically because it is a machine, you are a human being. A machine can be dealt with machine. So the point is the Defense Ministry can use it for surveillance, combating and counter drone solutions, they can use it. Let us take the case of Home Ministry. So where Home Ministry can use for these VVIP securities. Now all the states and union government is implementing this. So whenever a VVIPs are coming, then if at all you want to secure that region, you must have a bird view of that location, and physically it's not possible, but a drone can capture many things. So VVIP security, even for the crime control where the people are gathered, there definitely you can try to control the crime. And even the counter terror operations for securing both the internal security and as well as the external security, and even to contain the terrorist operations, you can use these drones, because these areas will protect the border areas also, because in the border areas, far flung areas, the forest areas, the hilly terrain, it's physically not possible for the personnel to entering into and to do the surveillance, but the machines and these drones can do. If they are fitted with the camera, then they can give the live picture what is happening inside the forest or inside the hilly area or in an inaccessible area. So that is how you can use. Next, Environment Ministry. How Environment Ministry can use? Environment Ministry can do lot of things by using the sensors fitted to the drones. They can sense the air quality, they can sense the water quality, they can try to find out the forest area degradation, they can also do and they can also perform anti-poaching activities, they can also looking into the monitoring of wildlife. So that means various aspects, and suppose someone has taken an environmental clearance, but how they are implementing that project, or they are following the environmental norms, and is there any environmental degradation is happening in doing that. So all those things can be tracked by the Environment Ministry. Next, I will give another ministry. Next one is this Ministry of Petroleum. Now all these oil and natural gas pipes can be monitored by using these drones. It's physically not possible where it is leaked and where is happening, whether it is secure or not, these things. And oil exploration operations you can monitor, and even this Ministry of the Surface Transportation, this road surface transportation, they can implement the monitoring of the implementation of road projects, how they are implementing, are they moving at a faster pace, is there any mischiefs that are happening, how the people are working at a faster rate, at what rate we are moving. And even Ministry of Railways can also use to protect its assets, to monitor its asset. to verify whether any damage happened to their assets. Even Ministry of Power, though transmission lines can be monitored, transmission lines can be monitored, because you no need human resources here. Sometimes human resource surveillance may lead to some sort of error. So to monitor the different assets by the different ministries, we can use this. And now take the case of Ministry of Agriculture, very important. Agriculture means at an individual level, as a normal farmer, we can use this for different purposes, but at the ministry level, they can have an overview of how much amount of crop has grown this year, how much amount of harvest that we can expect this year, and during the case of disasters, how much amount of loss that occurred in a particular area, and even they can observe by using some of the sensors the crop and as well as the soil health thing you can monitor, both crop health and as well as the soil health. And recently we have seen a locust attack. Now this combating the locust attack can happen through these drones easily. And even if something goes wrong, in order to make the insurance claims faster and in order to make the insurance claims to the maximum at a precise level, to reach the exact claims, we can use this technology. Next, even crop estimations we can do. So those type of things can be used by the Ministry of Agriculture. Okay. Next, Ministry of Panchayat Raj. Recently, Ministry of Panchayat Raj has started a scheme called Swamitva, where they are doing a proper survey, digital survey, and they are giving a complete rights on the Abadi lands in the villages. Now it can be used by the Ministry of Panchayat Raj at the national level, the revenue departments at the state level, they can use and they can do the proper digital survey, so that they can digitize the land records and they can give proper right on these lands, and this will reduce the litigation. So that can also be done by Ministry of Panchayat Raj. Next, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Now this health and family welfare, yes, it is very difficult to reach to a particular area. How can we send better services? Yes, if it is medicines, vaccines and any other things, you can send it through the drones. And if any samples are collected, yes, you can bring those samples to this hospital facilities and you can test the results, you can test those things, and based on the results you can again supply medicines to them. So that means if you are looking into the drones in the upcoming years, this drone is having lot of applications in various aspects. I will come to that number, what is the economic value of these services and all. But the point is, this particular drone is having lot of usages in the upcoming years. So you may get a question definitely, but you may not get the question like in general, but you may get a question like how the drone technology can be helpful in so and so sector. Then you have to write that particular aspect. Okay. Now the point is, okay, when these drones are operating, until now this drones operation has completely regulated by the government, because we have lot of apprehensions that this can be used by anti-social elements, they may create security problem to India. Because of that reason we don't want to use it, but we never realize the potential of this drone technology in the normal regular day-to-day life, and also in improving the efficacy or the efficiency of the administration in providing the public services to the people. We never realized that, but now the government of the day realized, and now they are started providing some sort of assistance in various forms. They started relaxing the rules and regulations in this drone area. So those things now we will discuss. Earlier in the year 2021 itself, the government of India has come up with unmanned aircraft system rules. unmanned aircraft system rules, UAS rules, they have come up with in the year 2021 March, but later we have repealed all these rules. Now we brought another rules called Drone Rules 2021. Drone Rules 2021. Now these drone rules are announced in the month of September 2021. Now these rules are completely regulating the drone sector in our country. But whenever you are studying about the drone, you need to know three aspects of this drone. So what are the three aspects of the drone? One is the drone manufacturing aspect. Drone manufacturing. That means someone must manufacture the drone, whether it is nano drone, micro drone, small drone, any drone. The drone manufacturing aspect is one. Second one is related to the drone operating rules. So that means, okay, whether you have the drone, and if you have the drone, then how you will get the license, where you can operate, where you cannot operate, how you can renew the license if you do something wrong. So the drone operations, the drone operation rules. Third one is the drone airspace map. That means now this drone has to fly in the air, and when it is fly in the air, it must get that geographical information where it can enter and where it cannot enter. And if you don't have the data with you, it is very difficult to travel in the air. If it is in the normal land, there is a road, and based on the road you will go. But if it is in the air, no, you must have an access to that space map. If you don't have the access to the space map, it is very difficult to use the drone for a longer distances. Okay, for a distance of eyesight you can use it, but if you want to send something for at least 5 to 10 kilometers, then it's not possible if you don't have that airspace map. So whenever we are discussing about the drones, you must focus on these three areas. One is drone manufacturing, drone operation, and airspace map. Now I will try to discuss what are the regulations that were there and what are the facilitation that was. Actually it was not a regulation, it was a facilitation, because we have relaxed the rules and regulations. Now, but before that I just want to give some information with respect to this. As the India is already having enough traditional strength in both innovation, IT, and some engineering techniques, and now there is a huge demand for these products. So that is the reason why this sector is very important for us, because we are good at coding, we are good at this information technology, even we are good at this frugal engineering. That means we are good at constructing the engineering products at a cheaper rate, at an economic rate, and we are good at innovation, and that too there is a huge demand in this country. So that is the reason why this is helpful. And if you looking into the India potential, the investments into this drone technology, that means drone manufacturing, may go, that means the investments in the next 3 years may be up to 5,000 crore in the next 3 years. This is the level of investment that we can attract into this drone manufacturing sector. And if you looking into the annual sales of drones in this country, in the year 2020-21 it was 60 crore. That means 60 crore worth of drones were sold in this country in the year 2021, and we are expecting that it will reach 900 crore by 2023-24. By 2023-24 we are expecting that it will reach up to 900 crore, and even we are expecting that this will create or generate the jobs of around 10,000 jobs directly. 10,000 jobs directly in the next 3 years. That means in the drone and drone component manufacture sector alone, drone and drone components manufacture sector alone, we can expect a 5,000 crores of investment, and we may expect 900 crores of sale per annum by 23-24, and we can create direct jobs of 10,000 in the next 3 years. When it comes to the drone services, okay, by using drone operations we can create drone services. And when it comes to this drone services, because we can use these services for maybe mapping, surveillance, agri spraying, logistics, data analytics, anything you can do. Even I can say like the Ministry of Communication, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, that ministry normally used to capture what is happening, the government programs, and they used to broadcast it. Now they can also use it. They can also use the drone and they can they can completely picturize it, and now they can broadcast it. So likewise these are the drone services are there. And when it comes to these drone services, it is expected the value of the drone services are going to be expected to reach to the value of 30,000 crore in next 3 years. This is only about manufacturing of drone, but this is the worth of services that we are going to generate in this country is 30,000 crore in 3 years, and at the same time we are going to generate 5 lakh jobs in the next 3 years by using these drone services. So these are some of the figures estimated by the Ministry of Civil Aviation. Now, under this drone rules, now I have given 3 broader categorization. Now first I will discuss the drone manufacturing. So as far as this drone manufacturing, what are the measures that we have taken, or what are the liberalization we have made, or what are the incentives that we are giving? Under this, one important aspect is this production linked incentive schemes, because this is one of the sunrise industries in India, because we see like India is having a huge potential to manufacture, where India can be a global supplier also, apart from meeting its local needs. So this production linked incentives, means if you increase the production, based on the value that you are extra adding, for that you will get some sort of monetary compensation from the government. So it is to incentivize to produce more. If you produce more, you will get an incentive. If you produce more, you will get incentive. So that was the basic philosophy of this production linked incentive schemes. Now under this production linked incentive scheme, various sector has taken, and this drone sector has also given importance. Now for 3 years we have allocated 120 crore for 3 years. This is only available to the producers. This is not to start a business. This is not giving some sort of subsidy. This is available to only people who started the production and who shown a considerable amount of the increase in production. They will get direct monetary benefit from this fund. So to increase the production, this fund is used. In the year 2019-20, I have given in the year 2021, the total sales are 60, but we have announced a double amount of money. So now the producers can take a benefit of this 120 crore by increasing their production. Now incentive for a manufacturer of a drone and drone components shall be as high as 20% of the value addition. Suppose just assume earlier you have produced 100 rupees worth of goods. Now this year you are able to increase up to 110. That means how much amount of percentage of increase? 10%. But when it comes to the drone industry, even if you add 20% value addition, that means 20% extra, you will get this benefit. But when it comes to the other sector, this is not 20%, you need to add more value. So though this sector is adding less value, they are get the benefit of this money. That means as it is a new industry, we wanted to promote this industry. So when PLI is implementing for other schemes, though the value addition component is very high for the other industries, but we wanted to make it 20%, that means less compared to that others, because it is a new industry. So the little amount of value addition you can get a benefit under this. And one more thing, when it comes to the other sectors, actually it was something like, so this year you need to add 30% value, next year you need to add 35%, next year you need to add 40%, then only you will be eligible to get this money. But whereas when it comes to the drone manufacturing sector. So this 20% is uniform for 3 years. That means you no need to increase like the other sectors. That doesn't mean that you should not increase, but even if you face so difficulty in increasing your production also, you will get that benefit. Okay, so 20% for all 3 financial years. So but when it comes to the other, the numbers goes like this. So 20% for all 3 financial years, but in another schemes it will be varied. It will be varied. Now again when it comes to the amount, whatever that you are getting, that amount will also reduce. You may not get the equal amount of value, equal amount of money every year. That money will be reduced over a period of time. If you get 30% money, next year you will get 20, next year you will get 10. But here you will get same amount of money for 3 years. Same amount of money for 3 years. Next. So the government is agreed to fix the minimum value addition of 40%. Minimum value addition of 40%, but whereas when it comes to the others, it is 50%. So the amount whatever they are getting through the PLI is very high compared to the others. And this value is fixed over the 3-year period. But whereas when it comes to the others, it is reduced. When it comes to the value addition, it is less, but for others it is more. That means in 3 areas this industry has given some exceptional treatment, because this is a new sector. We wanted to promote this. Next, one more important thing is this incentives will be applicable both the drones and as well as the components of the drones. That I have given the components, like airframe system, power system, battery system, communication system, control system, navigation system, cameras, sensors. So all those people are the people who are involving in that manufacturing process. If they increase their production, they will get this benefit. Next, PLI for a manufacturer should be capped at 25% of the total annual outlay. Now out of 120 crore, if you do 20% value addition, you will get 20% amount of money. But the point is, this entire money is capped at certain percentage. You alone as a single industry can't take the benefit of total 120 crore, but you will get only 25% of your total annual outlay. That means how much annual outlay you are making, how much annual outlay sales you are doing. In that amount, suppose by selling the drones I earned, just assume I have done, let it be 10 lakh. Now in that 25% means up to 2.5 lakh I can get a benefit under this. Because why they have put this cap? Because you need to give this benefit to all the manufacturers. Only 1 and 2 big manufacturers cannot get the benefit of that. You have to give the benefit to all the small manufacturers also. And we also want to promote the MSMEs in this sector. And for that also we have given some sort of incentives. Okay? Incentives in a different form, we have given incentives. So this is something, a promotion made by the government of India as far as the production of drones and drone component is concerned. Next, is this drone operating rules. How we have liberalized this drone operating rules? See, in this, first one is the trust is the most important aspect. Earlier we used to believe like whoever is operating a drone, he is an anti-national element or anti-social element. That is what our idea. But we said nothing doing. Based on the trust, self certification is fine. Self-certification. You give self-certification, I am doing this, I am using this drone for so and so purpose. Believe me, if I do other than this, then you can punish me under the law. So that self-certification itself is fine in order to operate a drone. Next, the number of forms, that means you need to fill the forms, that they have reduced it from 25 to 5. That means the administrative procedure has simplified. And the types of different fees, what you are paying, they have reduced it from 72 different fees to 4 different fees. Now you can understand how we simplified it. One is self certification, forms reduced from 25 to 5, even type of fee reduced from 70 to 4. Type of fees reduced from 70 to 4. Next, they are going to start a digital sky platform. So what is this digital sky platform? In this digital sky platform, if you are able to register and if you pay a minimum of fee 100 or 115, then you will get the access to that geospatial information. And if you looking into that geospatial information, you can find it out where I can travel, where I cannot travel, because you must know when you are traveling, and now that is accessible to everyone. Earlier it is not accessible to everyone. I will come to that point how we have liberalized the geospatial data. But under this digital sky platform, now it is developed as a user friendly online single window system. You can use this system to get the geospatial data. By using that, you can operate your drone. Now the data, anyone can get that data. Because in some areas you cannot go, there are some red zone areas are there, you are not supposed to enter, and in some areas you cannot enter without permission. But most of the things, but earlier it was not with the users. If you want the data, it is very difficult, but now it is given to the user with limited restrictions. Next, and that whatever the yellow red zone demarcation has done, and that is provided under this. Next, for the micro drones, no remote pilot license is required, and if you use it for non-commercial purposes, for the micro drones permission is not required, and even for the nano drones also it is not required. Next, no security clearance required before the issuance of any registration or license. So security clearance earlier we used to do, because we need to consider we are considering everyone as a threat to our country. That is why you need a security clearance. But now we said no, just give the self certification, and security clearances are not necessary. Next, no restriction on foreign ownership. No restriction on foreign ownership in Indian drone companies. That means now 100% FDIs can come and they can manufacture in India, they can merge with Indian company, they can acquire Indian company, they can participate with the Indian company, they can start any company in India. So there is no restriction on foreign ownership in Indian drone companies. Next, no requirement for import clearance. So import clearances are also not necessary. Import clearance is also not necessary. If you are importing something, earlier security clearance and other clearances are necessary, but no import clearances. Next, remote pilot license to be issued by the Director General of Civil Aviation DGCA within 15 days of the pilot receiving the certificate from an authorized drone school. Because you can't drive, see, even if you want to drive a normal vehicle, you need a license. Likewise, the person who want to operate a drone, he need to undergo a training, and when he undergone a training with a particular institute, authorized institute, he will get that authorized certificate. And once he got the certificate, within 15 days, if he applies, within 15 days, the DGCA must provide that remote pilot license to this person to operate his own drone. So that means immediate issue of license. So the license issue, immediate. Next, the maximum penalty for violations has reduced to 1 lakh. Earlier it was so big, but now so heavy, it was reduced to 1 lakh violations. But if it is a serious violation, you will be prosecuted under the law. Next, again we are also promoting these drone corridors. Now we are studying about the dedicated freight corridors. That means this particular way is only used for the movement of goods or this transportation of the goods. Likewise, we need to develop drone corridor, and in this drone corridor you can use the drone for the cargo deliveries that was mentioned under this. Next, these drones have given a unique number, like how the vehicle is having a unique identification number. Likewise, we are going to give this unique identification number to each drone. Unit identification number to each drone. Next, there is a drone promotion council. So the government will start a drone promotion council, and in this drone promotion council, both government, academia, startups, industries, other stakeholders will be there, and they will suggest the government on how we can promote this drone system in our country. So that is drone promotion council. So from the regulation, from the self certification, from the number of farms to the different fees, and also to these licenses, to the penalties, to the drone corridors, and to the clearances, remote pilots, and everything is liberalized. So this is something about the operational clearances. So there we have liberalized it. Now I will come to this drone airspace maps, because we have liberalized this aspect also. Drone airspace. So what is this drone airspace? Drone airspace means it is an interactive map. Between the user and as well as the government, because government will demarcate certain areas, and prior to February 2021 this data is not available to the people. In the February 2021, the government of India has taken a decision to liberalize this geospatial data. Geospatial data was liberalized. Earlier it is the only monopoly of Survey of India. Survey of India used to have this, and you need to take lot of clearances from that, and then only you can use the data. It has become very difficult for the investors, developers, builders, and other people, consultancy services. It has become very difficult for them, because the data you can't see. You have an apprehension that okay, this can be used against the security of the country, but you never realize that if a person laying a road, if a person laying a track, if a person developing an area, he must have an idea about that geography, and he will get that information from this data, and you kept with you, you asked for a lot of clearances, and they are fed up with all these things. But now you can use this data for any of the purposes, and one among them is for our drone purposes. Now in this, what happened is, all the state governments are requested to demarcate red and yellow zone areas. Now the entire mapping for the India is available in this. The geospatial data of entire country is available in this Digital Sky platform. The Digital Sky platform, just now I have explained. In this Digital Sky platform, now this entire data is available, and in this data, that will be demarcated, like what is a red zone and what is a yellow zone and what is a green zone. Green zone has not separately demarcated what is not yellow and red, that automatically becomes the green. So that demarcation has happened. That data now is available to everyone. Now they can use that data. So what are the rules and regulations that we relaxed under this geospatial data? Now we are looking into it. So now they have mentioned about this green zone. See, green zone means what? Green zone means up to 400 feet from the surface, up to 400 feet from the surface up to 400 feet that has not been designated as red and yellow zone. So, if the area is not designated as red and yellow zone, then in that you can fly up to 400 feet, that is green zone. If the area is not demarcated, as a red and yellow, then in that area up to 400 feet it is a green zone. Now you can fly up to 400. If crosses 400, you need to take permissions, but up to 400 feet you can fly. Next, and up to 200 feet, from the surface up to 200 feet, suppose if that area is between 8 to 12 kilometers, of the perimeter of a running airport. Earlier it was 45 actually, up to 45 kilometers from the running airport you should not fly the drones, but now they have reduced it to in between 8 to 12 up to 200 feet you can fly. This is again a green. Zone. So, a green zone is two things. One is if it is a running airport from 8 to 12 kilometers up to 200, it is a green zone. If it crosses 200, you have to take permission. But apart from that, area is not declared as a red and yellow. In that up to 400 meter, it is a green zone. So, this is a green zone. Now, in green zone, perimeter of an operational airport, not running operational or running operational airport. If that is not used, if that is not in operation, then you no need to consider it. But in the green zone, no permission whatsoever is required for operating a drone with an all up weight up to 500 kgs. So, up to 500 kgs, that means up to 500 kgs, weight up to 500 kgs, in a green zone you no need to take any permission. So, no permission in green zone. But the license, registering your drone, these are all necessary. But if you want to operate, you no need any permission. Earlier we used to have lot of permission. You need to take clearances from the respective organizations. Like whoever is operating, suppose if it is an airport area, airport is a controller to that. If it is an army area, army is a control. If it is a navy area, navy is a control. If it is some the aircraft testing company or if aircraft manufacturing company, then normally they used to test in that area. Now they will become authorized person, you have to take permission from them. But in green zone, no permission is required, and you understood what is a green zone. Next, yellow zone. So, what is this yellow zone? Yellow zone means, now I have given this 400 feet no, in a normal area, that means whatever the green area you consider, and up to 400 feet is green area. If you want to fly high, then it becomes yellow. Then it has become yellow. And I have given this up from the perimeter of the airport to the 8 to 12 kilometers I said no, and in this 8 to 12 kilometers I said up to 200 feet it is the green zone, but above 200 feet it will become yellow zone. Okay. So, this is yellow zone. Now, and even 5 to 8 kilometers, this 5 to kilometers, if at all you want to fly at any height, this comes under again yellow. So, yellow means 8 to 12 after 200 feet, 5 to 8 at any distance, and in a green area above 400, these three becomes yellow. And if it is yellow zone, the drone operation in the yellow zone required a permission from the concerned air traffic control authority. Because air traffic is not comes under everyone, air traffic comes under only the respective airports and the respective the air force, respective navy, respective the armed forces, and respective the some of the companies which are working with these aircrafts and all. So, you have to take permission from them in yellow zone. Next, apart from this, and this yellow zone has reduced from 45 to 12, 45 to 12. Just now say no, earlier it was up to 45, you should not fly anything. But red zone is something, a no drone region. Red zone is a no drone region. That means no drone region. So you should not fly any drone except with the permission of the central government. So this is a very stricter area. Stricter area is in the sense either it may be any important public sector undertaking is there, or any important government office is there. Either it can be a Rashtrapati Bhavan, either it can be any strategic installment is there, either it can be any security, any temple, any very valued temple is there, like anything. But who will demarcate? The state governments has already demarcated and given it to the center. Center has published in Digital Sky platform. And if you want to fly your drone in the red zone, you need to take the permission from the central government. Central government permission is necessary for this to fly the object in the red zone area. To fly the object in the red zone area. Next, one thing, this airspace map may be modified by authorities from time to time, and this whatever the airspace map we are talking about, this yellow, red and green zone, it is not static, it is varies from time to time, because new installations may come, you can't use that old data, but whatever the time to time updations are happening, the time to time updation is available to the drone operators, Now, one more thing is, whoever is planning to operate a drone should mandatorily check the latest airspace map for any changes in the zone boundaries. Because without updating yourself, if you just fly, if you enter into the red zone, then you will be punishable, because without permission you can't go. So the awareness should also be there on the part of drone operators. They must be updated with the latest this whatever the drone map data, and based on that data they have to operate their own drones. Even the drone airspace map is freely available on the Digital Sky platform to all without any login requirements. You no need a special login, but you have to register once with that. Once you have registered, then you can use it directly. So these are some of the regulations that are, actually it is not a regulation, but these are some of the relaxation of regulations by the Ministry of Civil Aviation in order to run the drones in our country. It is about the drone space map, it is about the drone operational policies, it is about the drone manufacturing, and everywhere government is ready to provide any incentive, and government is ready to liberalize the rules and regulations, because it has an application in various aspects. Simply when I say drone, normally it is about the shooting and it is about the post and pre-weddings. These are all what we have in our mind. We will normally use it for only the purpose of the videography and photography, but you can use it for any other purposes also, from the transportation or carrying to the image sensing to the surveillance to the sensing with using sensors. So you can use it in a very different way. But the point here is that there are only some concerns are there with respect to this, and one of the important concern is this privacy is the very important concern, because now the governments on the name of law and order, they have installed the CC cameras everywhere. But the point is, if you passes through that route, then it will get captured, and now with that camera they can identify where you are going and in which way you are moving. Though it is a violation of security, though it is a violation of privacy to some extent, but in the larger interest we cannot question it, because privacy is also a fundamental right under Article 21 according to the Puttaswamy judgment. But the point here is, even today also the privacy our privacy right is violated, but in the larger interest for the security of the country, definitely that can be taken away, that exception is there. But it is not something like a CC camera which was arranged on the road or an important place. This is a drone. This is a drone. This can travel from, and even you cannot sense whether it is traveling it or not. Sometimes it's not possible for us. Sometimes it's not possible for us. And when they are doing, when they are allowing the drone to pass above our home or any of the important place or any resort or any beach or any area, it may take away our privacy. And that too, these people who are operating the drone, they are collecting huge information which is some items related to our privacy. Maybe they are some completely surveying our land. Are they authorized to survey our land? They are putting some surveillance on our properties. They are placing some surveillance on individuals, what they are doing. So they are collecting lot of personal information, whether it is related to the human being or whether it is related to the any property or anything. So when they are collecting huge amount of personal information, is it not violation of the right to privacy? And do you think that they will erase all the data and they will only place the data whichever is important for them? Is it really possible that they will erase the data? No, it may not be. That is the problem with the foreign companies now. What we are saying, if they are collecting all the information from India and they are storing somewhere, and it is violation of the privacy of Indians. But what about Indian people and Indian operators when they are collecting huge amount of information which is completely related to the privacy aspects of the individual? How they are going to do? And what about our personal data protection bill? Still we are in the preparation stage, because it's sent to joint committee and they are seeking extension. But are they considering the aspects of this drone related aspects? Because if you liberalize drone, if everyone is using the drone, how that aspect is going to affect the privacy? And in order to protect the privacy of individuals, what type of restrictions we can place it on the drone operators? And if the drone operators collect the data, and within how much amount of time they have to erase it? And if you use the data, if you collect some data with the drone operation, in what way you can use that data, in what way you are not supposed to use that data, and which type of usage is permitted under the law, which type of usage is not permitted under the law. You have to make the rules and regulations, otherwise it will become very difficult. So this privacy aspect is one of the very important aspect, that if you able to address under the data protection law or the personal data protection bill which we are going to bring into the parliament, then it will be a game changer in the Indian economy and even in the Indian society. You can reach to the nook and corner areas of the country. You can go to anywhere, you can supply to anywhere. So you can access to that area, and you can provide lot of services which may be material in nature or which may be in service in nature. You can do that. That possibility is there, and in various aspects you can use that. So the only one concern is this, and if you are really able to address, definitely it will be a game changer in the India. And both different ministries and as well as the state government must promote, first of all in their administration, later with the market forces and individuals, NGOs, societies, companies, institutions will start using this, because this is having a huge potential to improve the efficiency in our work. So this is a good thing, and it is about the policy in three different aspects, and the usages, the legal provisions, and also the problem with respect to this. Okay, so this is something about this drone policy of India, or the drone rules in India. Okay, so thank you.
Amrita IAS Academy.